Okay, so now we're going to be looking at section 3 of the listening. And so we've got a conversation between Tim and Sue, and we're listening and we're thinking, what does Tim believe? What does Sue believe? And do both of them believe this? Okay, so you can see the questions along the side. We're listening for, there has been a lot of information. Who thinks that? It's very different from school. Who thinks that? And is it a positive thing that it's different from school? Okay. So the first 3 answers come very quickly in the conversation. Okay, so we'll be listening through and let's just listen and see what they say.
Section 3. You will hear a conversation between 2 students, Tim and Sue, discussing their first day at university. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
So you can see here that we've got to be listening the first 3 answers. Who believes it?
Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Sue. How's it going?
Oh, hi, Tim. It's okay, although there's so much to take in.
I know. It's a lot of information for one day. Still, hopefully we'll get the hang of it soon.
Oh, I'm not so sure. It all seems so different from school.
Absolutely. But that's a good thing, isn't it?
Okay, so we had 3 answers come very quickly there, and that's something to be aware of in IELTS. They like to try and don't always like to space it out very much. So who believes there has been a lot of information? Well, first off, Sue says, hi Tim, it's okay, although there's so much to take in. When she says to take in, usually we use this phrase in English to literally mean absorbing information or learning information. You can take something in visually, you can take something in by listening, you can take something in by reading. So it's saying, oh, there was a lot to take in. Like I had to process and understand a lot of things or a lot of information. So she means, this is a paraphrase of saying that there's a lot of information. And then Tim agrees. He says, yeah, it's a lot of information. So what they're testing is, do you know that there's a lot to take in? Do you know that that's a common way for native speakers to say that they're kind of overwhelmed or there's a lot going on? Okay, so your answer for this one should be C. It's both Tim and Sue who both believe that. Then straight after, Sue says, it all seems so different from school. Okay, so Sue mentions that it's different from school. And then Tim says, absolutely. Okay, so is this agreeing or disagreeing with what she's saying? It's agreeing, right? He's saying, absolutely, yeah, it is different from school. So it should be C again. Okay, so they both agree about the same thing. And then he says straight afterwards, absolutely, but, okay, so this is your key word. Okay, so he's transitioning into a different opinion, but that's a good thing, isn't it? So he says, but that's a good thing. Okay, this is what he believes, and then he adds his tag question, isn't it? Like to sort of, check what Susan thinks. But Sue, I think, doesn't really agree with that because she says, so Tim says, that's a good thing, isn't it? So all we know is that this is something Tim believes should be A, okay? Because Sue doesn't really say, yeah, I agree, or no, I disagree, okay? So it's only Tim who says, that's a good thing, isn't it? And then they move on to the conversation. So your answer for this one should be A, okay? So next, we're moving on to the final 2 ones, question 24 and 25. So what do they think about tutorials? So let's listen and see what they say.
So what's your timetable like?
Well, I only have 1 lecture on a Monday.
So do I. What time's yours?
It's at 10, so I suppose I can do lots of reading for the rest of the day.
Oh, that's a shame. Mine is in the afternoon. Still, we could always meet up for lunch. And do you have any tutorials?
Yes, 2 on Tuesday, and then about 3 a day from Wednesday to Friday. I'm really worried about the tutorials.
Really? Why? I'm quite looking forward to them, actually. It'll be nice to be able to really discuss things and put my own ideas across.
Okay, so I don't know if you've been to university, I bet you've met a Tim before. I feel like I like Sue, but I don't like Tim in this conversation. I feel like I met a lot of people like Tim at university. I have a lot of sympathy for Sue. I don't know, I feel like Tim's trying to date Sue in this conversation. Like he's trying he's like really disappointed that they can't have lunch together, and then he's trying to be all like, oh, I like tutorials. So that's just my own personal opinion on these guys' relationship. I think Sue should find someone better to date. I don't want Sue to date Tim. So who thinks tutorials are worrying? So Sue literally says straight up, she says, I'm really worried about the tutorials. Okay, so we know it's going to be, so she says, I was really worried. So we know it's definitely not going to be A. Our answer is going to be B or C. And then Tim replies with, really? He goes, why? Okay, so asking this question, why do you think that? That tells me that he doesn't agree. He's surprised. Really? You're worried about tutorials? Yeah, Tim, some people are shy. I think Sue's just never done it before. So you should have written B. Okay, it's just Sue who's worried about tutorials. Then Tim says, really, why? I'm quite looking forward to them, actually. Okay. When you say you're looking forward to something, it's like anticipation. Okay, you really want to try something. I'm really looking forward to getting dinner with you next week. It's something I'm really excited about. I'm really looking forward to Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. Something that's going to be exciting or fun for you to do. Okay, so Tim's like, oh, I'm actually quite looking forward to it. Okay, so he's not worried about it at all. And then he says, it'll be nice to be able to really discuss things. So he says how he's looking forward to really discuss things and put my own ideas across. This is the sentence where I was like, oh, he's like really excited to share his opinion. Like, I had a lot of seminars with Tims. So people who are like, feel like they know everything. We'd always like try and like argue with the lecturer. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sure you're a nice person. So the answer to this one should be A. Just Tim is the one who thinks tutorials seem like an interesting challenge. They seem interesting because he wants to be able to discuss things and put his own ideas across, okay? So he thinks that it's going to be fun, it's going to be a good challenge for him to do, okay? So, but Sue's kind of worried about them, all right? So that should be how you answered those sections of the test. And then we get down into questions 29 to 30. So this is actually not too bad. This section is relatively straightforward. The challenge, as always, is reading through and picking out the key words and being able to concentrate sort of consistently for a long period of time. Okay, so that's the kind of challenge on this section of the IELTS, as well, of course, as spelling. Spelling does count. Make sure you're not writing more than 2 words. That's a mistake some students make, as they forget about that and try and write 3. Okay, so the first thing Tim advises Sue to prepare is by doing some background reading. Okay, so that's relatively straightforward. He just says it in the flow of conversation. If I were you, I'd do some background reading. Okay, so he says some background and then reading. So you should be able to pick that out while listening through. And then Sue gives some advice to Tim, where she says, after the lecture, I suggest you look at your notes and rewrite them. So I think either she talks about rewriting his notes. So Tim to rewrite the notes he had taken. To be honest, if you'd also wrote look at, that's kind of, it would be a sort of okay, but it's not actually what she's advising him to do. She says look and rewrite them. So the main thing she's telling him to do is rewrite the notes, not just look at them. Okay, so that's why rewrite should be the correct answer here. And then she says visual learner, so she likes using colored pens, bullet points and arrows. Okay, so again, she's relatively straightforward. She lists these out as she's talking, so it's quite easy to follow along and to pick out her answer. It's just mainly about spelling. Being able to say bullet points. Okay, if you just write bullet point, they will not give you points for that. You'll be marked down. And she talks about it's important to reference absolutely everything and to write a thorough bibliography. Okay, so this is a challenging one to spell. So it's checking your spelling. Okay, what's a bibliography? It's a list of all the sources you use to get your information for your essay. So when we write formal academic essays at university, you're supposed to write everything your own ideas. And if you're using anybody else's ideas, then you have to tell them what source you got it from. Okay, so that's your bibliography. So references are when you read a text and it says something like, according to Jones 2014, okay, okay, so that's what they mean by a reference. And then a bibliography is the list of all those at the end of your academic essay. And then Tim goes on to say, Sue gives him this very good advice, and then Tim says, what a waste of time. Tim. And then he says, oh, what about the social program? So he really wants to go out. So I don't know, my takeaway from this is that you should be a Sue and not a Tim. That's my feeling.